A doula can be like your best friend, a very special friend who'd be prepared to do anything for you in an emergency or otherwise. She'll mop your brow, she'll hold you, cuddle you, pick up your dirty knickers for you, make sure you've got something clean to wear if necessary. She won't judge in any way at all. She's just accepting of the process of birth and being there for you unconditionally and loving and nurturing you. Now, a midwife may want to do all those things and may well be able to do all those things, but she has clinical responsibilities. And in the real world, particularly in a hospital setting, the midwives don't often have time. And they don't have a relationship yet. And some of them are brilliant at making them on the hoof, but some of them, find it harder to do that in a few moments of meeting somebody. Whereas the doula would know the woman already, and would have an instinctive relationship with her and with her partner, and know what her partner needs as well. Women are often very concerned these days because they don't have continuity of care and they don't know who's going to be with them at this really important time. And we're constantly in this country told how short and how pressed the maternity services are, and how much work the midwives have to do to try and look after everybody. And women find that very, very disconcerting. So that's one reason why they come, and they get to know the doula beforehand. They build up a relationship with her, and they then have that continuity of care all the way through, which gives her the confidence to allow her body to work, knowing she doesn't have to worry about anything else going on. She doesn't have to worry about having somebody that she doesn't relate to very well in the hospital. She doesn't have to worry if a suggestion is made that she's not sure about, that she doesn't necessarily want to do. So maybe a midwife would not be terribly keen on having the lights turned down, a simple thing like that. And that can make an enormous difference to somebody's peace, somebody's quiet, somebody's privacy. And it is like making love, and it's much easier to give birth if you're in an environment which would help you to make love successfully too. And if you've got people watching you and you don't feel safe, then it's going to be hard to open up and allow a baby to be born. So the midwife can often facilitate that, but it doesn't always happen. And a doula can give the woman confidence in her own body and in her environment, and help to shape the environment in which she's going to give birth.
I think there is a place for a doula. I think in circumstances where women aren't supported during the birth, and the midwife is much more of an obstetric nurse coming in to do the birth, they have a very particular place in the system. Referring to the UK, I think the doula might be very useful if a woman hasn't got a supportive family, a supportive partner, but it's very important they're not supplanting the role of the midwife.
The relationship between doulas and midwives is mainly about boundaries, and both the doula and the midwife understanding what the boundaries are. Doula has no clinical responsibility at all, and she has just an emotional and physical relationship with the mother. The midwife's job encompasses all of those things as well, but she has clinical responsibilities, and they often take the place, they often get in the way of the physical and emotional support, and certainly the continuity of care is very difficult to achieve. So the doula works as the woman's best friend.
My view as an obstetrician around doulas and childbirth companions is probably slightly different to a lot of my colleagues here in this country, in that I did my PhD trying to promote the use of doulas within under-resourced communities particularly. So I see their role as paramount in birth and pregnancy. So I do realise that I'm not quite mainstream when it comes to that. On the whole, doulas are often seen quite negatively by obstetricians when they come into the labour ward. I think it's fantastic when they come in, and because I think they do so much to help women who've had a plan for a very different type of birth if there's a complication, and the doulas can do a lot to help those women make that transition from being at home to moving into the hospital environment. And in the home environment, there's so much good evidence and information and history about the role of doulas and how important they are. So I'm very supportive of them and supportive of their role even within any form of obstetrics or maternity care. Part of my passion around doulas was that when I worked in South Africa, the conditions in the labour ward were such that it wouldn't have been possible to bring in male partners because there was no privacy. The conditions were very, very basic. But there was definitely a place to bring in female companions and female supporters, and the doulas fitted that role perfectly, so that they were able to come in and support women, be there for women whilst they were in labour, with none of the sometimes more complex issues around having male partners and companions. Not that I don't think that we should have male partners, that would be the ideal, to be able to offer all of that. But in certain settings, the role of doulas is just perfectly appropriate. It's great.